Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Mackerlane, and today I want to talk about what it took to learn one of my favorite guitar solos of all time. That is the Uli Roth solo in the tune Sails of Charon by the Scorpions off the Taken by Force record, one of my favorite solos of all time. I've always wanted to learn the solo, and I find a lot of people ask me, well, how do you learn something like that? Now, everybody, it's a really difficult solo, there's a lot of technique involved, but this goes for any level of soloing or anything that you want to learn. These are the tips and the tricks that I use to learn something like this. Quickly also, if you listen to Caravan by Duke Ellington, you can hear where Uli was really influenced by that piece of music in Sails of Charon. Now, I'm not going to show you how to play this solo note for note because there are plenty of great instructional videos on this solo on YouTube, and even a link to the one below where Uli himself shows you how to play it. Now, on YouTube, I think you may or may not know this, if you use the little gear thing down at the bottom, you can speed up or slow down the video. So when you want to learn something that's on here, I would recommend that you slow it down, and that's what I did learning that solo from Uli himself. So that brings me to my first point, is to be able to sing the solo in your head. You don't have to sing it out loud, but to know exactly what's going on note-wise is extremely important. That way, you know what it is that you're trying to learn. It may seem obvious, but sometimes it's not. When I was taking some vocal lessons and the vocal teacher said, hey, just sing me that melody, and I couldn't really sing because I didn't really know what it was. And I found that out with solos as well, guitar solos. I thought I had this thing under my fingers, but when I was learning, I'm like, oh, that's not actually really what he's doing. He's doing something different than I thought. And that's really important. So the next thing would be to use a program to help you slow down the solo. If it's something like this solo, which is a lot of technique, is very fast, I needed to slow it down to really clearly hear everything that's going on. The program that I like to use is called Transcribe. I've got no affiliation with the company. There's a link down below. There's plenty of great ones. You can even do it in Logic or Pro Tools. You can do the same kind of thing. I like Transcribe because I can change the key, the tempo. I can change the EQ of the song a bit. I can put it in karaoke versions. All sorts of ways that you can isolate the solo that I really, really like. The next tip is to take a bite at a time. There are always usually natural breaks in some of the solo, unless you're trying to learn something like Alan Holdsworth, where it's the whole string of notes. But even there, you're going to hear phrases. So I would try to go phrase by phrase. So now this solo, we start off with this intro, right? Got that, but then he goes to this phrase. Now, that's a lot. So what I did was learn the first little snippet. And I can do this in something like Transcribe. Right? So I'm going to take that. Then, what's my next phrase? Well, that's a line, isn't it? So for me, I'm going to learn that little section. I also want to play it slowly. So slow down the solo to maybe half speed or 30%. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's just about you learning how to work through these ideas. So and then slowly start to move it up. This is a surefire way to get the technique going. Now, sometimes you will find if a lick that's played really quickly, if you try to play it really slowly, it doesn't quite work. So sometimes licks with lots of legato played very slowly become more difficult because you end up picking more than you may want to. So that's a little thing to look out for. Another thing I look for is a trick. I hate that word, but a melodic idea or a fingering idea that some guitar players will use that are very indicative of their style. In this solo, this phrase or this idea is repeated a few times. this sort of hammer-on pull-off idea of 2-1 to 4. So that repeated phrase so that whole first phrase now, I know that's really difficult to play, but you see this repeated hammer-on pull-off idea. And I would just keep on working on that phrase. And that's what I did, slowly and slowly. Another tip, especially something demanding like this, I really like to focus in on one hand at a time. I learn the phrase nice and slowly, start to get a handle on it. But I found if I look at my right hand or my left hand and really concentrate like a laser on it, I find that things progress more quickly. So if you watch my right hand, if I'm staring at this, as you see, it's really all alternate picking. But when you stare at that hand with intent, it all starts to come together much more easily. Just a quick break right here. If you like my video and you like my channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps out quite a bit. Also, if you want the tab for this solo, I've included in the link below over at Jam Guitar Lessons. Also, while you're there, you can get some cool free backing tracks for blues and rock and check out a lot of my courses to help you build your technique. Repeated pentatonic licks, connecting pentatonic scales, soloing with major, minor triads, and a lot more. Now, the next lick is just as difficult as the first part, actually probably even more difficult, but it's a repeated melodic phrase that moves through a B Aeolian scale and visits a B Phrygian dominant scale, going back to B Aeolian again. Anyway. Now, the trickiest part about that section was the sweep picking. So I want to sit there very slowly. And as I work that down each section, I'm going to just practice each melodic phrase. So the point of this video is everything takes time. If you want to learn a difficult solo like this or something that's even much simpler, it's going to take a lot of time, focus, and energy. The trick to doing it is to isolate each little lick or idea in the solo and work on perfecting that before you move on to the next part. Or at least learn how to play it, move on to the next one, and keep on working on it. Hone it over and over again. Practice the heck out of it, because that's what I did to be able to play this solo. Now, do I want to be able to play this solo live on a gig? Not necessarily, but what's fun about learning it is it's personal triumph. It's a goal that I've always had. It helped me learn how to learn a solo again. It kind of reignited some other stuff in me, got some of my technique together. I learned some cool ideas that started to work their way into my fingering again. But mainly, I just always wanted to learn a solo after 30 years of listening to it, so I'm super happy that I did. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it made some sense on how to learn a solo and what it takes to do it. Determination.